I'm being told I'm overreacting and can lose a good guy. I, 26-year-old female, have been the guardian of my 15-year-old niece since I was 21. Right when I got out of college, my sister had her life taken from her by her boyfriend in front of my niece, Rose, when she was 10. We were obviously both thrown into a new and challenging situation. She's been in therapy since it happened. I met my fiancé when I was 24, and we just got engaged 6 months ago, and he moved in with us. He, 28, has an 8-year-old daughter, and she lives with us. Lately, he's been trying to force a bond between them, constantly suggesting they go watch a movie together, or if Olivia, his daughter, would enjoy hanging out in Rose's room. I tell him to stop doing that, and if she wants to do things with Olivia, she will do it on her own. 2 days ago, Rose wanted to go to the mall with her friends, and my fiancé insisted Olivia goes. Rose says, "I don't think an 8-year-old will be interested in hanging out with a bunch of 16-year-olds. We have nothing in common." I know my niece and I know she's over him trying to force his daughter on her, so I step in and say, "I can take Olivia and one of her friends to the mall so she has someone she can talk to." And he goes, "No, Rose is going to be a big sister and needs to stop acting so rude." And I tell him, "Except she's not her big sister. They're not related." He gets even more upset that I'm not on his side. Rose leaves and he says she's entitled and thinks she can do what she wants. I tell him, "It's not entitled to not want an 8-year-old around a bunch of teenagers who she doesn't know or have anything in common with." He tells me she needs to get it together and start treating Olivia better, or she's going to have some consequences, and we go back and forth for a while. He tells me he can leave and move on, so I tell him if he doesn't like it, he can leave. He storms out and hasn't been back since. My friends are saying I may have overreacted by telling him to leave, and he just wanted them to get along. The thing is, Rose does do things with Olivia. She picks her up from school when she can. She draws and has tea parties with her. At other times, she doesn't. She gets depressed and wants to be alone or just spend time with her friends. Living with what she went through? I can understand. They've only been living with us for 6 months. So him expecting her to spend all of her time with her or jump into a sibling role is crazy. I don't feel like I'm wrong. He said he'd leave first, and Rose deserves to feel comfortable in her own home. I don't like that he said he'd give her consequences because she doesn't want to spend all of her time with Olivia. My sister, brother, and I didn't even do that. Edit. I am currently packing his stuff. I don't like the way he spoke about Rose and consequences. She's 16 and he doesn't have that authority, and this whole situation has given me a bad taste in my mouth. Also, I know what a blended family is, and I know Olivia would have been like my daughter. My point was, they've known each other for 6 months. She's not technically her sister. I meant it in the way he was trying to spin it as if they're sisters, so she needs to spend all their time together. People keep saying, "Oh, well, Olivia would be your daughter too," or "I wasn't treating Olivia like my daughter." I don't know where you got that from. I've treated Olivia the exact same way that I've treated Rose since she came into my life, pretty much. The relationship I had with Olivia is not the same relationship that Rose and Olivia would have had. And Olivia already had a great relationship with Rose, so him trying to force more bonding was not okay. For all the angry men who are so emotional that I won't be a doormat for a man threatening my daughter, and no one's going to want a single mother. He was at my door 30 minutes ago, begging for me to take him back, and that his mom told him he was wrong for speaking to Rose the way he did. Also, if I really wanted to, I could have a date for every night this week. The threat that women are going to be alone isn't the threat. I'm a 26-year-old nurse getting her doctorate, have my own house, 4 rental properties, and have no problem being alone until I find a guy who isn't a piece of S. I'm the catch, not a man. The fact that you think women are begging to be in a relationship with a man is crazy. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. Reddit is filled with stepbrothers and stepsisters who have gone no contact due to forced familial relationships. If you allow your fiancé's behaviors to continue, your niece will resent you. And, quite frankly, she's had enough trauma in her life. She doesn't need force bonding with an 8-year-old due to unrealistic expectations from your fiancé. Comment 2, not the idiot. Thank you for being perfectly sane and reasonable in what sounds like a sea of morons and idiots. Let him leave and take his burden with him. He wants your niece to mother his daughter and wants you to be the housemaid. Wake up and thank God you didn't sign any papers. Now, for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. Well, things escalated quickly after my last update. My ex-fiancé came back the next day, not just to apologize, but with a ring, a different one, saying it was a fresh start. I almost laughed. A fresh start? After everything that had happened? I told him no, and that's when he dropped the news. He had been let go from his job and had nowhere to go. I felt a twinge of guilt, but I couldn't let him stay. Not after the way he treated Rose. I thought that was the end of it, but no, life had more in store. The next day, I found out that Rose had been skipping school. When I confronted her, she broke down and admitted that she was being bullied. Kids were saying things about her mom, about what happened. It was like a punch to the gut. I had been so focused on my own problems that I hadn't seen hers. I pulled her out of that school and started looking for a therapist who specialized in trauma. Meanwhile, my ex started a smear campaign. He told our friends that I kicked him out for no reason, that I was unstable. I lost a few friends, but honestly, if they believed him without hearing my side, they weren't real friends. I was more worried about Olivia. She didn't understand why her dad couldn't stay with us anymore. I tried to explain it to her, but how do you tell an 8-year-old that her dad messed up? Then, the landlord of one of my rental properties called. The tenants hadn't paid rent in 2 months and were refusing to leave. I had to start the eviction process, which was another headache I didn't need. But it was also a wake-up call. I had been so caught up in my personal life that I had neglected my responsibilities. I was at my breaking point when Rose came to me with a letter she had written to Olivia. It was her way of explaining things, and it was so mature, so heartfelt, that it made me cry. She had been through so much, yet here she was trying to make things right for someone else. It made me realize that I needed to do the same. So, I went to Olivia's mom. We had never really talked before, but I explained everything that had happened. To my surprise, she was understanding. She even thanked me for taking care of Olivia. We agreed that it would be best for Olivia to spend more time with her, at least until things settled down. As for my ex, he tried to come back again, but this time I was ready. I had changed the locks, and I told him through the door that it was over for good. He yelled, he pleaded, but I didn't budge. I had to think about my family, about Rose and Olivia, and about myself. I couldn't let him back into our lives. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Rose is doing better with her new therapist, and Olivia is adjusting to spending more time with her mom. As for me, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I've learned that sometimes you have to cut people out of your life for the sake of your own sanity. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Thanks for reading. My friend with benefits denies our relationship and spreads lies. So I expose his cheating to all his contacts and watch his reputation crumble. We have been seeing each other for a year, and everything looked and seemed like we are a couple. He said he loved me, and I loved him. He spends every weekend with me, and we have planned our first trip together, etc. Last weekend, he was in bed, and I made him pancakes because his birthday was on Tuesday. He was very happy about it and joked that I was spoiling him. I said that I wanted to spoil my man. He said, "I am not your man," with the same energy. He didn't seem awkward nor embarrassed, just calm with a smile on his stupid face. I didn't take it seriously and said, "Yeah, I know you are not my man." He was more serious now and said, "No, really, I am not your boyfriend." I felt literally sick, but I tried to be calm and I asked, "So what are we?" He said, "I don't know." Really great, FWB? I didn't say anything after that, and he ate his pancakes in silence. Later, he asked if we would do anything. I said that I was planning on cleaning and doing some paperwork. He left after an hour. I ran to the bathroom to be sick, and I probably cried for a solid 2 hours. I couldn't keep anything in my stomach the rest of the day. He texted that evening thanking me for the breakfast in bed and that he thought I was amazing, but I didn't answer, so he called a few times. I didn't answer. Around 10 p.m., he rang my doorbell. I just opened it ajar and pretended I was sick with the flu and was going to bed. He offered to stay the night in case I needed help during the night, and I said no. I didn't answer him Sunday nor Monday, and I didn't wish him a happy birthday on Tuesday either. And I have just been keeping the text short, feigning sickness. He never brought up what he said once. Then yesterday he wrote that he missed me and that he hadn't gone this long without talking to me since we met, and that he was going mad. He asked if we could at least have dinner. I said that I was very busy. He said, "Don't you miss me?" I said that I was very tired because I was out all night with a guy last night, so I just wanted to relax by myself this evening. He stopped answering. He showed up 15 minutes later asking me if I was lying. I wasn't. I told him that we weren't a couple, so I was free to do whatever. He said that I broke his heart and cheated on him, and I am a jerk. I waited for him to leave before I started crying. He is right. We have never had the talk, actually, and I never asked him what we were. I just assumed because I loved him, and I thought he did too. But now I know we aren't together. Why was he upset that I slept with another man yesterday? Was I the jerk? Was it cheating? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. In a way, you did have the talk when he said, "I am not your boyfriend," and you acted accordingly. And I am with you on wondering why the talk was even necessary after being together for a year, exchanging "I love yous," and I am assuming being exclusive. Comment 2, not the idiot. He wants you to be tied to him, but he wants to be free to play the field. I would have told him the moment he said he did not see himself as your boyfriend, that I was not looking for a friends with benefits situation and the relationship is over. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around for the latest. So after that whole mess with the pancakes and him saying we weren't a thing, things just spiraled. I thought I was being smart, playing it cool and all, but it's like everything I did just made things worse. I kept up the act of being sick for a few more days, but he wasn't buying it anymore. He started showing up at my place unannounced, trying to catch me in a lie, I guess. It was annoying, but also kind of sad. I didn't want to see him hurt, but I was hurt too, and I didn't know how to fix it. Then my friend Sarah, who knew the whole story, told me she saw him at a bar with some girl. My stomach dropped. I felt so betrayed, even though I knew I had no right to. We weren't together, right? But it still stung like crazy. I confronted him about it over text, and he was just like, "You said we're not a couple, so what's the problem?" That's when I realized he was just playing games with me. I decided to take a break from all this drama and went to visit my cousin out of town for the weekend. I needed to clear my head. But when I got back, I found out he'd been asking around about me, telling people I was the one who messed things up between us. That really got to me. It was like he was trying to rewrite our history to make me the bad guy. I couldn't take it anymore. I sent him a long message telling him how much he'd hurt me and that I couldn't do this back and forth thing. I told him it was over for real this time. He tried calling me, but I didn't answer. I was done. But here's where it gets really messed up. The next day, I got a call from Sarah. She was freaking out because she'd heard from a friend of a friend that he got into a fight at the same bar he'd been at with that girl. And it was bad. He ended up in the hospital. I felt like my world was crashing down. I didn't want to care, but I did. I rushed over there, and when I saw him all bruised and hooked up to machines, my heart just broke. He looked at me with these sad eyes and said he was sorry for everything. He said he didn't realize how much he cared about me until he thought he'd lost me for good. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to forgive him, but the other part was just so angry and tired. I left the hospital feeling numb. I didn't know if I should be with him or just move on. It was like no matter what I did, it was going to be the wrong choice. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, I found out that the girl he was with at the bar was actually his ex, the one he'd never really gotten over. It was like a punch in the gut. All this time, I was just a distraction, a way for him to forget her. I felt so stupid. I'd been lying to myself, thinking we had something real. But it was all just a game to him, and now here I was, feeling sorry for a guy who'd played me from the start. So, that's where I'm at now. Trying to pick up the pieces of my pride and move on. It's not easy, but I know I deserve better than this. I just wish I hadn't wasted so much time on someone who was never really mine to begin with. Thanks for reading. My adopted sister stole my college fund and abandoned her kids at my doorstep, so I made sure she lost them forever by sending them to her biological family while I start fresh in America without her chaos. So I have one biological sibling, Jake, who is 39 years old and lives in America from my dad's first marriage. My parents adopted a girl named Ella, who is also 27 years old. Ella and I are the same age, female 27, and there are only 8 months between us. Our biological mom was friends with Ella's mom. Ella and I had a good sister relationship growing up, but around 15, she started to be behaving badly by pulling the "you're not my parents' sister" card and making life genuinely difficult for everyone. My parents never lied to her about being adopted or treated her poorly. Looking back, she actually got treated better than me, especially during our teenage years. The minute she turned 18, she took her college fund and whatever she could steal, then ran to live with her real family. My parents tried to get in contact with her, but she blocked them and threatened to involve the police when they went to her aunt's house to talk to her. She always maintained contact with her biological mom's family, who are very nice people. 2 months later, on my 18th birthday, she sent me a card with a long letter expressing how she hated us and only stayed until she could get her hands on the money she was owed. She also wished us the worst in life, especially me, because I didn't deserve to have living parents. That was the moment I realized she was never my sister. We lost Dad during infection 19, and Mom tried to get in contact so Ella could say goodbye, but had no luck. Then, in September, Mom passed away due to a brain aneurysm. I didn't reach out because I didn't care about Ella. Ella's aunt and grandmother are still in contact with me. They even attended my parents' funerals. I mentioned to them that I will be selling my parents' home and moving to America to be closer to Jake and my nieces. I should mention that Ella legally emancipated herself from my parents, even though her bio and my family begged her not to. My parents' home is in London, in a good area where you can see an important person pass by in a car if you look out the window long enough, so I will make good money from the sale. Ella has tried reaching out through email, calls, and third parties. It's obvious she wants money, so I've ignored her. Today, she showed up at the house and asked about the sale, stating that as my sister and my parents' daughter, she deserves something out of it. I told her she lost all rights when she cut them off. Ella started crying, saying she knows she messed up, but apparently met a guy in a group for adoptees who influenced her against not just our family, but her bio family as well. She told me she wants to leave him, but she has 2 kids and would need financial help. She also admitted that he forced her to do most things, and that she felt ashamed to reach out to us, especially now that I'm moving and her window of opportunity is closing. I told her I didn't care for her lies and manipulation. I'm not my parents, and we aren't family. I told her to leave my parents' home before I call the police. She said she made a mistake and pleaded for help because we are sisters. I just screamed at her to leave because I don't have a sister. My brother thinks I should help her and believes I acted too cruelly towards her because I don't know what it's like to not have both parents growing up. Now, I'm rethinking my decision. Now, for a few comments before the update, comment 1. And with me moving, her window of opportunity is closing. And that seals it for me. The opportunity of money from people she cut contact with and legally severed any ties with. There are organizations Ella can reach out to that will help her leave. She can claim benefits, ask her biological family and friends to help out. She stopped being family the moment she emancipated herself, threatened to call the police on your parents, and sent you that card. Not the idiot. Comment 2, not the idiot. It's one thing to yell at your parents something like, "You're not my parents," as a teenager. But that is not what she did. She went totally scorched earth with the family and was so cold about it. I don't know how you come back from that, and she stayed away until there was an inheritance. Now, for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. So, Ella showed up again yesterday, this time with her kids. They looked just like her, small and scared, clutching onto her like she was the only thing they had in the world. It was raining, and they were all soaked through. I didn't want to let them in, but I couldn't leave kids out in the cold. That's when she dropped the news. The guy she was with, he wasn't just some bad influence. He was dangerous, and she had run away from him. She had nowhere else to go. I let them in, against my better judgment. They stayed the night, and I heard her crying after the kids fell asleep. The next morning, she was gone. She left a note saying she couldn't put me in danger, that he might come after her. She left her kids behind. I was furious. but what could I do? I called Jake, and he said he'd support whatever decision I made, but reminded me that the kids were innocent in all this. I spent the day trying to figure out what to do with 2 kids that weren't mine. I couldn't just turn them over to the system. Then the doorbell rang. It was the police. They were looking for Ella. Apparently, she was involved in some serious crimes with her boyfriend. Fraud, theft, you name it. They thought she might come to me. I told them she had been here but left, and I had no idea where she was. They took a statement and left. I was in over my head. I had to find Ella for the kids' sake. I reached out to her aunt and grandmother, but they hadn't heard from her either. I was starting to panic when I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Ella. She was whispering, scared. She said she needed my help, that he had found her and she was hiding at a friend's place. She begged me to take care of her kids, just for a little while longer. I agreed, but I told her this was it. She had to turn herself in and sort out her mess. The next day, I got a call from a lawyer. Ella had been arrested. She had turned herself in, and because she was cooperating with the police, they were going easy on her. The lawyer said she had named me as a temporary guardian for the kids. I was stunned. I didn't want this, but I couldn't say no. I had to think about the kids. I started to see a side of Ella I never knew. She was trying to make things right, but it was too late. The house sale was going through, and I had to move. I couldn't take the kids with me to America, not with everything up in the air. I talked to Jake, and he said he'd help me find a solution. We decided to reach out to Ella's biological family. They agreed to take the kids while everything was sorted out. It was a mess. I was angry at Ella for putting me in this situation, for making me care when I didn't want to. But I couldn't help feeling a bit of pity for her. She had made her bed, and now she was lying in it. I was just caught in the crossfire. The day before I was set to leave, Ella's aunt came to pick up the kids. They were crying, not wanting to leave the only stable thing they had known in weeks. It broke my heart, but I had to stay strong. I told them they were going to be with family, that they would be safe. Ella's aunt thanked me, and I could see the relief in her eyes. She promised to keep me updated. I'm sitting in an empty house now, the echoes of the past few weeks still ringing in my ears. I'm leaving tomorrow, and I can't help but feel like I'm abandoning them. But I have to go, have to start my own life. I just hope Ella's kids will be okay. I hope Ella will be okay, but I can't look back. I have to move forward. Thanks for reading. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!